Hello everybody, hopefully you are doing well. In today's video, we are gonna talk about the verb pick up. What do we mean by this in English? This is a phrasal verb. As you can see here, we have two parts. We have number one part and we have number two part. In English, this we call it particle, and this one we call it simple verb. When they get together, we call them phrasal verb. Why we call them verb? Because or sometimes three parts, but not one part. Phrase means two parts or three parts, not one part. Okay, this is why we call this kind or this type of verbs phrasal verbs, because they are made up of two parts. In English also we have another type of verbs, we call them single verbs, like visit, like go. As you can see here, as you can observe, we have one part go. We don't have two parts like in this one. And also visit, one part. Single verbs. They are not married. They are single. They live alone. They send alone. Unlike here with phrasal, which means like married verbs. Okay? Keep that in mind. Now, let's dive into the verb pick up. Let's study this verb inside out. Let's get this verb automatic into our minds. Let's get sure, certain, and confident about this particular verb. I always recommend using or seeing things in situations. This is what will help you get sure and certain about the vocabulary you come to learn. Situations are very powerful, very helpful, very useful when it comes to understanding something better, when it comes to grasping or capturing something very well. All you need to do is to see it in different situations, because these situations act like angles, act like windows from which you see, or from which you can see more about a particular building, about a particular vocabulary. Okay? So the number one situation where we can use pick up is I always need to pick up my children for pick up to school, okay? Before driving to work. In this case, pick up means I need children to school before driving to work, or I need to transport my children to school before driving or before I drive to work. This is probably the most common use or meaning of pick up. One more situation, we can say I picked up some Spanish while or during my trip to Spain. In this case, we have pickup, and after pickup, we have Spanish, which means a language. What can we do to languages? We can learn, eat languages. We can watch languages. We can learn language. In this case, pickup, which means I learned some Spanish when I went to Spain. Okay, you see how the meaning changes from one situation to another. Okay, the same vocabulary, the same verb, but with different meanings. This means that the context has a lot of control over the meaning. The context is a main factor when it comes to deciding, when it comes to determine what a particular thing means exactly. What tells you what something means exactly is not the word by itself, is not the word itself, is not the vocabulary itself, is not the verb itself. It is the context, which means words outside of context or out of context are meaningless, don't have meaning. You cannot tell what something means when it is out of context. You can only tell what something is or what something means when it is within context, when it is in context. Okay? This is why translation and definition are not useful, are not rewarding, are not helpful when it comes to learning languages, when it comes to studying languages, when it comes to speaking languages. If you want to speak the language, if you want to have much control over the vocabulary you have, all you need to do is to learn the vocabulary in situation, in context. This is what you need to do. Okay? Sometimes students learn things in context, learn things in situations, but the problem is that they only put things in one single situation, and this is very limited way of learning. I don't want you to put things in one single situation. This is not enough. I would like you to put it in different, or to see it in different multiple situations. Look up all the situations where a particular thing can be used, because these multiple situations, these number of situations will tell you the possible, the potential meanings of this particular verb or of this particular word that you come to learn. Okay? Number 2 or number 3 situation. Let me erase this one. I need to pick up my room before I leave. Pick up my room, which means I need to tidy my room. I need to get my room in order, to arrange my room, to get everything back to its or to their right place. Okay, this is what we mean by pick up my room. You see how the meaning of the same word, the same verb changes from one situation to another. It means that situations have a lot of control, a lot of power in determining what something is or what something means exactly. Okay? The word or the vocabulary by themselves are meaningless. They don't have meaning when they are out of context, when they are out of situations. They only have meaning when they are in situations, when they are in context. Okay? This is what we should understand about this, about the language. When you come to learn a language, you need to keep that in mind. That it's not about how many vocabulary you have. It's about how well you know the verbs you have, how well you know the vocabulary you have. Because we have levels of understanding, because we have levels of knowledge. Okay? We have things that we can only understand, but we cannot use while speaking. And here we are talking about two kinds of vocabulary, passive vocabulary, and we have active vocabulary. Active vocabulary is vocabulary that you can use, words that you can use while speaking. Passive vocabulary, things that you cannot use while speaking, but you can understand when people use them in their speech, in their conversations, in their talk, in their output. Okay? What you need to do now is not to learn new verbs, not to learn new things. Is to get your passive vocabulary active by getting back to these already vocabulary you have into your mind and learn it very well. And spend more time with it. This is what you need to do. I know that you can understand people, but you cannot talk like that. Why? Because you still have doubt about the vocabulary you have. Because you have just passive or too much passive vocabulary. You need to do some effort to get this vocabulary you have active. By active here, you need to get them automatic, which means you don't need someone to remind you of this vocabulary. Okay? Which means when someone uses a particular vocabulary that you already have but you cannot produce, what happens here? This person reminds you of this vocabulary you have already in your mind. This is what this person does. Okay? In this case, to be able to produce the vocabulary you have, to remember the vocabulary you have, to recall the vocabulary you have easily and effortlessly, all you need to do is to get back to it and try to learn it very well. Okay? Try to get sure about it. Try to eliminate, to remove all the doubt you still have about the vocabulary you have. You need to create or to build or to generate strong associations that can help you recall, that can help you remember this particular vocabulary. It's about strong associations. And in this case, what helps me remember and recall my vocabulary is these multiple different situations where I studied them. It is impossible to lose this particular verb. I cannot forget about, or it will be impossible, or it is impossible to forget about this particular verb. Why? Because I spend more time with it while learning, and also I see it in different situations. Okay, this is what helps me recall it. This is what helps me retain it and remember it quickly and easily. Okay, as you can see here, I am learning things in an active way. I'm not passive because my goal is not just understanding things. My goal is being able to produce these things. If my goal was about understanding things, I can learn a lot of a huge amount of vocabulary in 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay? But my goal is not understanding things only, but understanding things, yes, and being able to produce them, and being able to use them, and being able to implement them while I am speaking. Okay? So let's continue with this particular verb. One more situation. We can say, she picked up some tricks to cook better. Tricks means techniques or strategy. She picked up some tricks, which means she discovered something, explored, and even it can mean learned some techniques, some tricks to cook better. This is another use of pick up. One more situation where we can use pick up and say, let's suppose you are talking to your colleagues or to your peers. Let's where we left off in the meeting. Here pick up, let's pick up, which means, in this case means let's continue. Let's continue where we left off, where we stopped in the meeting yesterday. The meeting was not complete, was not finished. Okay? You see how the meaning of the same vocabulary, the same verb changes from one situation to another. This is how I would like you to learn. Say thanks. One more situation. I picked up a black jacket while shopping yesterday. In this case, picked up, I bought, I purchased, purchased. Okay, a black jacket while shopping yesterday. You see, this is how I would like you to address things, to study things. This is the helpful strategy or the helpful way or method that will help you learn things fully and completely. Okay, this is what will help you remember, recall anything you learn easily and effortlessly without doing too much mental effort while speaking. One more situation. I need. I think I did this particular example. I need to pick up. I cannot remember if I did it or not. Okay, I need to pick up my room. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. I need to pick up my room before I leave. In this case, pick up means I need to tidy. I need to put or to get, yes, to put my room in order, which means to bring everything back to its right place before I leave. Okay, I need to tidy my room. Okay, one more situation. You can say prices are picking up these days. Which means prices are increasing these days, are getting higher and higher, which means people cannot afford for things in the supermarket because they are very expensive or they are getting very expensive. Okay, so one more situation where we can use pickup and say business or our business is up these days. This example is similar to the previous one. Business is picking up these days, which means is increasing, which means people are making more purchases, okay, more sales, okay, and the business is getting better and better. People are earning more money because the business is picking up, because the business is getting better and better, because they are doing more sales, more purchases. Okay, this is how we should learn things. Okay, if you learn this way, if you use this method while you come to learn things and you still cannot express yourself, come back to me and tell me that in the comment, and tell me that this method is not that effective, this method is useless, and make me or get me embarrassed. Okay, thank you so much. We stop here. This is enough for today. Have a nice day. Bye.